Hello there, we are here with the wonderful Declan O'Donnell, award-winning architect and also judge on
Home of the Year, RTE.
And how's that going for you? Good?
Super.
Big finale coming up?
Big finale on Thursday, yes.
Oh, very exciting. Brand new book just out, looks absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
As a man who lives in clutter, I think I'll be using this fairly quickly. So we've got some questions in from fans, and they've come in with us, and there's some interesting ones here. And just if we just ping a few off you and see what you think. So, what or who inspired your passion ultimately for design and architecture?
It probably goes back to when I was about 8 years old. Went on a family holiday to Barcelona, which is an amazing city, and I've been back since. But something happened to me. I think when I was there, I was walking around. We went to Sagrada Familia. We went to see some beautiful churches, some beautiful architecture. It's such a design influenced city. There's a huge culture there, and it was so different from Ireland, obviously. So something happened in my brain then. I was walking around and thought, oh, this is quite different. What's going on? What's it all about? And some of these buildings are incredible. And that has always kind of stayed with me.
Yeah. And as a young kid, like at what point do you say to your parents, you know, they kind of go, what are you talking about?
I think I was about 10 then. I said, I want to be an architect. And everybody said no.
I
think there was a recession going on before this one. And they all just said, there's no jobs in architecture. You have to go and do something else. And I played music as well, so I concentrated on music for a while. But ultimately, when I got to my mid-teens again, it came back, you know. Here
the calling.
We are,
what is the first thing you do in approaching a home project? Are there steps or...?
There are some steps. I think the first thing I would do is you need to concentrate on your layout and really analyse the space that you have. Because there's no point in looking at something in a magazine and thinking that's what I really want if it can't fit or if it's not going to work. So you have to be kind of hard on yourself. In that process, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions. You have to be open to the answers, even if you don't like the answers. So that's the first thing you would do is look at layout, look at space, make sure you get the function right. That's the first and foremost thing you have to get right. After that, then look at furniture, look at the layout, look at what you're actually going to put into the room. It's like the room we're sitting in at the minute. Think about flow, think about how you come in, think about how this space is actually going to be used. Once you get that right, once you get those two steps done, then you can go a bit mad really with your style. You know, if you want it to be a white cubist box, or if you want it to be an ocean themed, or whatever it is you want, or whatever your own personal style is, have a think about that and bring that into whatever the room is, you know.
Sounds so easy. It is
easy. It's just, you know,
I find falling over things on the way in is my way.
It's those first two steps. So that's what people struggle with. They seem to dive into the style, and then they get confused and they don't really know how to start. Whereas actually, it's quite logical at the start, and then after that, you can have a bit of fun.
Very good. In your book, you say that good design and the use of space can change the way people live. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's all about how things feel. You know, because when something's wrong or a layout is wrong, you can really feel it. And there's things called ergonomics in design, which is about, you know, the size of things. You know, that we're sat in this seat and there's a gap here and there's a certain size of table here that's appropriate for the space. So you need to figure all of those things out. Once you do that, it kind of feels more comfortable. And actually, good design is all about comfort at the end of the day. It's not about style, it's not about anything showy, it's about how comfortable you are in the space that you're trying to create, be it a living room or a bedroom or a dining room, whatever it is. It's about how comfortable you are in there, and that's all about the things around you and how that makes you feel. So that's what actually good design is all about. It makes you feel better, it makes you feel more comfortable, it makes you feel happier, and that obviously has a huge impact on how you live. And
just on the book, like, you know, being, you know, architect, designer, like your involvement in the book, like did you? I can almost imagine you approaching your book saying, "Oh, lads, no, that page, that, you know." How was that? Did you find that process?
The writing of it was easy enough, actually, you know. But then obviously when it came to formatting, and I warned the editor at the start, I said, "I'm pretty easygoing, but when it comes to the layout and the font type and how it looks and how it feels, I'm probably going to be quite awkward." And in fairness, they just laughed and said, "That's fair enough." But they were great actually, because the team they have is. Are really super, and they really know what they're doing. So it only took really a couple of drafts, and before you know it, I was flicking through it, going, looks great.
Yeah, no, it looks fantastic. Is there a room that you describe as the most difficult to get right when working with families?
Families, I would say probably the open plan space. You know, everybody wants that room where everybody lives in. We all live there like 70-80% of the time. Usually there's a kitchen, some form of a dining space, and then maybe a lounge or somewhere comfortable. That's a really difficult space to get right because it has to be zoned out. You know, it can't feel like everything rattling around one room, which isn't open plan living. Some people have seen that done really badly and they say, "Oh, I hate open plan living, it's not for me," but that's not what it is. It has to be zoned out, it has to be designed. that's really quite difficult because you have to build in flexibility as well, because everybody grows up and people move on and whatever, and how's that room actually going to change? What's it going to be like in 5 years time, in 15 years time, when maybe some of the kids are gone? How's it going to work for you there? So flexibility and zoning make that really really difficult in the open plan, and I'd say it's the main space a lot of people come to. It's the main room they want to get right, and it's usually connected to the garden as well, so you want to bring that garden in as well. So it has loads of different challenges, but everybody has their say about that open plan room.
And just when you talk about the families, and when you were saying you were 10, you had the calling, then you went, did a bit of rock and roll, and then came back. Were you at home still when this thing happened, and you were started doing things in your own house, or were you living in your own space when you started did the kind of your own kind of?
Well, it was kind of in my mid-teens, and I was at home, obviously living at home, but then I went to college, went to Queen's. Once I made that commitment to go and actually start studying, then I moved out. I had my own space, and it takes a while. It's a long course. It maybe takes about 10 years in total to actually qualify, including your professional exams. So so you're 5-6 years of college, and then even when you're out working, you're still studying and you're still going. So it takes a long while, and it took me maybe 3 or 4 years for the penny to actually really drop as to what it actually is. Because it's not just designing, it's not just drawing nice pretty pictures or making really cool buildings. It's way more than that. There's a whole other side to it. So it's it takes a while, I think, for a lot of people, and I see it now. Even I used to do a little bit of tutoring and stuff, and even 18, 19, 20, it takes a while really for the head just to get around to what it is.
Get your head around it. What piece of advice would you give to someone on a low budget and little or no experience who are changing their living space?
Low budget and little experience. I would say first thing is I wouldn't let the budget be any kind of a limitation on you. If anything, it should ignite your creativity. Because that's what being creative is. It's about looking at what you've got, looking at the context, and making the right choice. So I never like to hear people think, I've only got X to spend, so their aspirations are already zero. I've only got this, so I'll just go and do this. And you're like, you can do so much better than that. So really embrace creativity when you've got low budget. Enjoy it. And again, it's all about the layout. So if you've limited experience, try and look at the room, look at the layout, look at the function, try and figure out exactly what you're going to do in that room. Less is more as well. So I would say don't try and do 7, 8, 9 things. Try and do 3 or 4 things really, really well. Keep it simple. If you get the function and the layout right first, then you can add a layer in on top of that. But I would keep it simple, and less is more.
Cool. What are the biggest mistakes people tend to make when tackling their homes?
There's a few. I'd say probably not looking at the bigger picture. Because a lot of people look at something in isolation and they say we have a problem at the back and we need more space. So that means an extension, which means X, Y, Z. But we don't have the big budget, so we're just going to do this, and all of a sudden it turns into a bad spend. That looks like a bad spend to me. Whereas, exactly. Whereas if you look at the whole picture and say, right, well, what are our problems? What are the other areas in the house that we're not really using or we're not utilising? Or is there something we can actually change in the footprint that'll unlock something? That'll make everything work better and make us feel a little bit easier in the house as well. So I would say the biggest pitfall is not looking at the bigger picture all the time. Actually taking a step back and being a bit more logical about the problem that they have.
Cool. And then what do you hope that do you want people to get from it's fantastic. It's a beautiful thing, people. It's absolutely gorgeous throughout. And as I said, he was very involved in making sure it looked pretty good. What do you hope people get from this? What is the ultimate message?
I think I wanted to do a book that was obviously all about architecture and design, but I wanted to kind of debunk the myth of what that kind of is, because I think a lot of people are interested in it. We all buy the magazines, we all watch the TV shows, and then yet I go into loads of people's houses and they haven't really done anything with it, and I wonder kind of why they haven't. And I think it's because they're jumping to the style thing and they don't really know how to start. So I wanted to do something that explained how good design is, how it's for everyone. So it's not just something for the super elite or the super rich, it's about small things, small budgets, making sure you get the simple things right. I wanted to explain that. I wanted to explain actually the benefit of that is to your home and where you're living and how you feel, and ultimately make something practical as well, so somebody can actually pick it up and say, I'm thinking of doing something to my home, how do I actually start? Instead of just flicking through loads of magazines and going, there's loads of images and I'm still none the wiser how to start. I want somebody to pick that up and say, actually I'm going to read this, I'm going to find out how to start, and I'm actually going to start and do something. I don't care what it is, but at least you're going to do something at the end of that process as opposed to nothing.
Cool. And the final question is, what is the strangest thing you've been inspired by?
The strangest thing? I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to this one. I have no idea.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. I don't know. It's just everything's just too normal in the world of design.
I'll be honest. I get inspiration in loads of little silly things. You know? So when I'm driving around or walking around, or if I go running, or if I'm out in nature, or if, like my head is always up and I'm always looking, and you'll see inspiration in loads of things. So I don't think there's any one. I think it's kind of everywhere. Like the last thing I was inspired by, actually was driving up to play football somewhere, and there was a pub that's maybe about, I don't know, 100 odd years old, but there was a way the brick had kind of come out and the window was set back and it went up to meet the parapet. It was actually a lovely little detail, probably about 100 years old, but I took a mental photograph of it, and I'm using it now in a project now. So that was just sitting in the traffic lights, bored, listening to the radio, but I saw something and thought, actually that's a really nice way they've done that.
Well, the book is now out there, room. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm inspired. If there's a chapter on how to display all your figurines, I'll definitely
right
read
up
it.
there.
But it's absolutely beautifully produced, now available. Declan, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Cheers.